Right, back now to our top story, the attempt to strike a deal over Syria's chemical weapons. Let's take a look at why the issue is so crucial to the international community. The UN says 1 million people have been killed by chemical weapons since World War I. Half of those were killed by Agent Orange in Vietnam, and that was used by the Americans. Chemical weapons were also believed to be used by Iraq against Iran in the 1980s. In 1992, the world took action and the Chemical Weapons Convention came into being. 189 countries have agreed to ban chemical weapons, including mustard gas, sarin, anthrax, and ricin. 7 states have refused to join the treaty: Israel, Myanmar, Syria, North Korea, South Sudan, Angola, and Egypt. And yet member countries have accused each other of breaking the convention. And the U.S. has been criticized for using white phosphorus in Fallujah. The chemical is banned as a weapon, but is legal to use as an incendiary device. Hans Blix, the former head of the International Atomic Energy Agency, is on the phone for us now from Stockholm. Sir, welcome to the program. Now, reining in chemical weapons around the world sounds like an impossible task. How will they do this in Syria? How feasible is the Russian plan?
I think the first part of the plan is feasible. One can have the Syrian government commit itself to the Chemical Weapons Convention, or to commit itself not to have chemical weapons, and commit itself to a surrender of them, and to also accept inspection. However, when it comes to actually carrying out inspections, I think this will be very, very difficult, if not at all possible, during a civil war, to send out swarms of inspectors over a country where war is raging to verify lots of sites with chemical weapons. Sounds pretty impossible. But I think the first part is important because there is an opening here to further talks, and we now know that Mr. Kerry and Mr. Lavrov are in Geneva today discussing. And I think what the world really would want to see is a ceasefire. It's not enough to simply say that the chemical weapons must be over. It's the ceasefire. We can't just tell them go on, fight the war as you do, but without chemical weapons. And I think the dialogue opens a chance for to start the dialogue towards a ceasefire and a conference.
Now, from what you've seen, do you believe the verdict of Western intelligence agencies that the Syrian government is responsible for this alleged chemical weapons attack near Damascus on August 21st?
I think that the UN, having appointed UN impartial inspectors, decency requires that we listen to what they have to say in their report. However, personally, I have been impressed by the evidence that has come up from other sources so far, and it seems to me most probable that the regime was behind the large-scale attack. The size of it does not point to rebel groups, and we have also heard independent observers in Damascus pointing to the government. So despite the fact that it seems to me that it had not been at all in their interest to do so, I think that the evidence points to the government. That doesn't exclude the possibility that rebels might have used chemical weapons on a limited scale on other occasions, but I think the main responsibility here seems to look to be at government.
Now, military action against Syria is on hold for now, but not completely off the table yet. Do you think there should be any military intervention in Syria?
No, I don't think so. I think it's a military intervention is like a punch on the nose to Assad, and then to say that stay away from chemical weapons, but you can go on with the war. And that is not really an acceptable line to take when over 100,000 people have been killed and over several millions are on refugees. I think we need, within the Security Council, within the great powers, a continued dialogue to come to an end of the war. And in fact, there is some leverage to achieve it. I don't think the parties could continue with the war unless they received money and weapons from the outside. And there are reports about the weapons coming from the outside, from Saudi Arabia, maybe from Qatar, maybe Iran, maybe Russia. And if these countries can go to their clients and say, now we demand that you accept a ceasefire and a conference, they would have leverage.